So the United States now has its 47th president and its 50th vice president. President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance took the oath of office just this afternoon. It marks an incredibly rare moment in our nation's history as President Trump becomes only the second president to serve two non-consecutive terms. He began his inaugural address with a broad promise to the people saying, quote, "The golden age of America begins right now." The core message that major change is on the horizon. It's something President Trump and his administration got to work on straight away, in fact, starting what he calls his America First priorities. The president signed several executive orders in front of a crowd in Washington. WCPO 9 News reporter Sam Harrell-Simowitz joins us now in studio. Sam, what will these executive orders do?
President Trump started his term by trying to undo a lot of the work from the Biden administration with just a few strokes of his pen. President Donald Trump putting words into action, signing proclamations inside the Capitol building, then executive orders in front of a crowd of thousands.
We see presidents often undo the work of their predecessor or sort of fulfill a campaign promise that they made to their folks during the campaign.
The 47th president is working to make his campaign promises come true. The White House has listed Trump's, quote, America First priorities, including border security, energy, and pushing back against diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the federal government.
They do have this same force of law as a legislative process.
I sat down with Dr. Shauna Reilly, who's a political science professor at Northern Kentucky University. Reilly said these orders do not go into effect right away.
Once they're signed, the next day they're delivered. And so it's instant, it's an instantaneous issue. And then after that, they'll be published for the people to see.
And things can get in the way from a president's decision.
President doesn't have the ability to enforce them. That requires the police, that requires the legislature, that requires the courts. But unilaterally, he doesn't have any way to enforce them.
As other branches of government can get involved. What do you think are some of the more common misconceptions when we hear sort of the discussion around executive orders?
We have three bodies of power. They check each other. And so that is what's going to happen with these executive orders.
Another roadblock could be legal action. President Trump continued to hit the ground running back at the Oval Office by signing more executive orders late Monday night. Those included a list of pardons for many convicted in the January 6th attacks, designating drug cartels as terrorist organizations, and trying to end birthright citizenship. Sam Harrell-Simowitz, WCPO 9 News.